BBC Sex for Grade documentary started because the BBC was getting a lot of anonymous messages from students from university across Nigeria, across West Africa really, pointing to being molested by their lecturers. Of course, when the documentary eventually was published, it generated a lot of reactions, not just from the school, but also from the governments in Nigeria. And then I started getting on Twitter, male students reaching out to me to say, oh, this happened to me when I was preparing for A-level to get admission into University of Lagos. This happened to me. There's this person who we thought was a lecturer who, and it wasn't coming from just one person. At least 4 students reached out to me to say, this happened to me, and they were all pointing to the same person. In a way, Sex for Grade kind of gave courage to these male victims to also come out and talk about what's happened to them, even though they can't talk about it publicly. So it was a start of that conversation amongst male students who were experiencing same thing at University of Lagos. Immediately after the investigation was published, the school came out with lots of policy changes that they were going to implement. They were going to make the sexual harassment policy public and accessible to all students. They were going to set up task force that would be central to collecting reports of sexual corruption among students. One of the things that the policy also said, at least the copy that I got to read, is that any romantic or sexual relationship between students and lecturers must be reported to the vice chancellor of the school. And there was this task force was supposed to make sure that all of these things are implemented. The dean of students at the time, all of these things he said the school was going to do. There was zero tolerance for sexual abuse or any form of sexual corruption on campus. But since then, we found out that most of these things were largely lip service.
One of the stories we reported on, we documented, was how a 46-year-old man brought a teenager to Lagos from Benue. That is close to 1,000 kilometers from Lagos. And it was just an issue of a failed system that sort of helped him to exploit the young boy.
We found that the police, throughout that case, and encouraged the person who reported the abuse to just return the boy back to his village. And so what that means is that the boy was taken out of jurisdiction where the incident happened.
Courts also lack training. Court and also police officers, right? We've seen stories about police officers, contributing to the shame. So just 3 things need to happen for all of this to change. Institutional accountability, a cultural reset around masculinity, and legal reform.
One of the things we also found out in the process of reporting this story was that the police and the entire court system in Nigeria don't know how to handle male victims of sexual abuse. They're learning how to deal with women now because of all of the years of advocacy and conversations around that. But for male survivors, male victims who hardly talk about their experiences, it's believed that men and young boys can't be sexually abused, and because, well, nobody's talking about it.
I hope this piece of investigation shows other survivors that they're not alone and it's able to give them language to describe what happened to them. And all in all, I just want, a survivor to be able to come out and talk about their experience, knowing full well that there is a system that would protect them and not the other way around.
We're hoping that this report will encourage students to talk about what's happening to them, male students to talk about their experiences. We hope that this report will spur a policy reform that is inclusive of male victims of sexual assault.